G'day everyone, my friend has asked me to build a box to house some seeds as a gift for his mum. So today I'm going to show you how you can build a box, but I'm going to try to step it up a bit and get a nicer finish with some mitre cuts and housing in some dividers and things like that. Now I've just done a rough sketch here. Basically what you want to figure out is the overall dimensions of your box, and then using the thickness of your timber you can work backwards to find out the dimensions of each piece of timber you need to cut, and then you just cut them all in one hit, and then you can move on to assembling it and then finishing it. Now this box is going to have 3 sections, so 2 dividers, and these dividers are going to get housed into the sides of the box, and these dividers are going to get housed into the sides of the box like this. So we're going to use a router for that. We're going to use this drop saw for our mitre cuts, and then everything else is just either hand nailing or screwing. As always, get your glasses and your earmuffs out. Now this will be the inside face of the box, so we're going to cut in some channels to house our dividers. Just want to mark out 3 even gaps. Okay, where this squiggle is, that's the area of timber we want to remove. So we'll set up our router for this. Alright, these are our router bits. You can get heaps of different versions of this, they'll do heaps of different jobs. Now you want to find one the same thickness as your timber. Now these are pretty close but not quite right. I'll see if I have the right one. Okay, so I don't have one of these the right thickness, but I'll show you how to work around that. We just need to trace the thickness of our timber. We want to set the depth of this to about 5mm. So you can change the depth here like this. And we want 5mm from the tip of this to here. Now what we need to do is a test piece. Then we can measure from the cut to the edge of the timber here, and then we can use that measurement to set up our fence on these timbers. Alright, that's just any old square line. So what we need to know is the measurement from this line here to this edge here, and then we can just draw that line on either side of the channels we want to cut in the sides of our box, and we'll have to do 2 passes with the router, and then we'll get a nice groove to slot our dividers into. So that measurement there is 36mm. I'll put this to the side, I don't need that anymore. So we need to measure 36mm from here. Now the sharper your pencil is, the more accurate your markings are going to be. So let's try that again. Alright, we can square those off. Alright, now we're at this stage. We can measure from the cut to the cut. Now if you put this tape like 100mm or 200, a number that's easy to read, on this edge, it's going to give you a more accurate measurement than if you butt the end of the tape into the cutout. So you'll often see me measuring like this. Alright, so we can cut those two at 113. Okay, before we fix these permanently, we're going to do the bottom, because we're going to have to cut a certain amount off the top to allow for that. Now this here is our lid, but let's say if it was the base of our box, for example, you could see the edge. So what we want to do is cut a piece in here, but we also don't want to really see more nails than we have to. So we're actually going to check out the bottom of this, and then we can house the bottom piece of our box in here. I'll show you. Now this here is just a scrap bit of wood I've got. It's very thin, so we're not going to lose much dimensions in our box, and it's going to be easy to cut. So we'll set the depth of the router the same depth as the thickness of this timber. Now we need to attach the fence to this, and we have to run around the internal perimeter and just check out a little bit of timber. And we can adjust how far in or out the router is. So you want to just go about 2/3 of the way. So we'll keep 1/3 of the material. Now remember not to go all the way through with these. Okay, now we can just finish off these with the chisel. Just continue our lines through. Okay, what you need to do this now is a sharp chisel and a sharp knife. Now if you don't have a sharp chisel, I've made a video on how to sharpen your chisels, so check that out as well. I'll put a link up for that. And what you want to do is just trace these grey lead lines with your sharp knife. Just gradually work your way towards that corner. Now sometimes even if your chisels are sharp enough, you don't even have to use the hammer. There we go, now we just repeat that. Alright, so these are the dividers we cut earlier. Now we just want to mark the edge here. Because we've added the thickness of the base, we've got to cut it off the top of these dividers. we don't need to nail these in, they'll just be strong enough with the glue. Now we're just going to use a straight edge and check that they are sitting flat so that the lid will sit flat. It's a bit high on this back edge. Now in the picture that I was sent to recreate this from, the timber was burnt, so I'm just going to get a scrap piece of wood and see if I can pull that off at home. Alright, I'm going to use this blowtorch. Now you're going to move it quickly and get it really close. You want to try and get an even amount of heat so that you don't have blowtorch patterns on the box. Alright, you can see there that if you overdo the scorching of the timber, you can just sand it back again and it'll dull it down a bit. I prefer this sanded look. I think if there's too much blackness or burnt parts, it just kind of looks overdone. Whereas this is a bit more subtle, and I think it's a much better result. Alright, I am going to oil this. I just did a test piece, and I think it brings a shine back, which is really nice, and kind of deepens the patterns that are going on here. It'll really give it that finishing touch. Alright, there we have it. That's all finished up now. Now Mike specifically asked me to build this for packets of seeds for in the garden. So I did measure up these cavities to fit those pretty perfectly. Now, I mean, if you're building a box for a purpose, obviously you can build around whatever you want to put in it. I mean, you can easily imagine without these dividers, you could fit a wine bottle or something like that in there. You know, maybe fancy it up with a bit of fabric. But for now, this is done, and it's on to the next one. Now, if you learned something or enjoyed this video, please help support the channel and give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to upload videos every Wednesday, and so far so good, so hopefully I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.